everyone had a very fun and active Labor Day yesterday and a great weekend. I heard there was a nice social activity yesterday afternoon with some ice cream that everybody enjoyed. Some drinks and some double fisting of ice cream. It was a good time. But anyway, I'd like to welcome everybody to this week's town hall. We have a very busy agenda, so I'll get right into it. Want to thank you for letting me be here and MC this. I'll do the best that I can. Angie is out this week. She's in Delaware visiting some family. So she's taking some well-needed time away and taking some good family time and enjoying that. This week also, some of our marketing team is going to be in a conference in Texas. That's going to be for this whole week. It's not the entire marketing team. There's just a couple of them that are going to that. And hopefully they come back with some tools that we can use here in the campus to bring in some more residents and enjoy our campus just like everyone here is doing. All of us, I'm sure we know Kim Habercorn. She is the executive director at the assisted living and the memory care building. If you could, please keep her in your thoughts and prayers. Her father had passed away the end of last week. It was it was unplanned, I guess you could say. I mean, all death is unplanned. But again, keep her in your thoughts and prayers as she's going through this difficult time. We've got, just to go over the agenda for today, we've got a few presentations. Carl Wales, as you can see, is going to go over our graduate school for seniors. But then we also have a visiting guest, Michelle Sproul. She's with Life Path Hospice. So she's going to give us a presentation of some information that we can keep in mind that's going to be in benefit for all of us. Just a couple brief announcements. In maintenance, we've got a new hire, someone that's going to be covering floors 2 through 4. His name's Eric Sosidio. He's got some good experience working in assisted living and memory care here in Riverview in the past couple years. He started his own handyman business and is doing that as well right now, but we brought him on board, and he's a very young, energetic individual, and I think he's going to be a good asset to the team. One individual that is a new associate that was on our maintenance team, he's still on the maintenance team, his name is Cash Walker. Many of you are familiar with him. He services floors 5 through 7. He was going to make his way here. It looks like he was tied up, but he's the associate of the month for the IL building this month of September. So if you see him, just congratulate him, and I know his attitude is one that many of you have brought up as a very positive attitude. He's very helpful, very knowledgeable, and he appreciates and enjoys working with each and every one of you. But again, his name was Cash Walker. He's the IL Associate of the Month. Over at our AL and Memory Care building, Eileen Freestad was the Associate of the Month over there. And at Plaza West, Denise Schubert is the Associate of the Month for that building as well, and that's over at Plaza West. So again, just keep them in mind, and if you pass them, just give them a congratulations as well. So without further ado, we'd like to invite Carl Wales to the platform, and he's going to go over grad school.
I have trouble standing in the same place. So, graduate school for seniors, some of you may not have been here a month ago when I did an introduction to this, but this also has some more details. So, next slide, please. For those that weren't here before, what is it? Graduate School for Seniors, and by the way, the name may be a little misleading, but it's the name that was the name of the program for years before I even moved here. So we keep it because everybody thinks of it that way. Once in the fall, we do a 6-week period with 10 courses, preferably, and each course has 6 classes. So 1 hour class a week for 6 weeks for 10 courses. It's self-supporting. The tuition's $10 a class, and what that pays for is the printing of the catalog, which is being printed today as we speak. And we pay our instructors a very nominal fee. I hate to think of, if you add how much time they put into preparing, how small a fraction of minimum wage they're really earning. But so we do try to compensate them, so we at least recognize the effort that they put in to come here And in some cases they're residents, but other cases they're from elsewhere, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So next slide. And this is a catalog that you will see in your mailbox on Friday morning. Next. This is the committee that administers and runs the Graduate School for Seniors. Yeah, Mike Anderson is in a orange shirt, I think, way over here in the corner. Mike, stick your hand up at least. John Foster is sitting right here in the third row. Dave Looney is right here. Vince, are you? Okay, and I'm the chair, and yes, my name starts with a W, so this was alphabetical order. And I learned when I joined the Navy that everything seems to go in alphabetical order, and W is near the bottom of the line. So I'm still at the bottom of the line. Next. We're going to start classes, as we always do, on the Monday of the first full week of October. So October 3rd will be the first day of classes. They'll go for 6 weeks with a few exceptions. Yeah, I'm sure most or all of you know that the club room is a voting place on election day, November 8th, so any classes that meet in the club room will not meet that day, and they will go 1 week extra into November. Additionally, we do not hold any classes on Veterans Day, and by that we mean the Veterans Day that's the federal holiday, which will be the 11th of November normally, but if the 11th was a Saturday, it would be the Friday. So, and then the instructor may have to make changes. Some of our instructors have full-time jobs and they're working us into their schedule, and once in a while things have to change. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, you should receive this catalog in your mailbox Friday. The plan is it will be distributed at the same time as they distribute the weekly that Stephanie sends out. Looking at the calendar, September is not a day for classes, but just go over things. The 5th is a federal holiday. That was Labor Day yesterday. The two circle dates, the 13th and the 16th of September, are in-person registration, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. But those are the two opportunities. On the 13th, it'll be in the morning to catch the in-room dining pickup folks and the lunch folks. And on Friday, it'll be to catch people when they're coming to dinner. Next slide. The 10th is a federal holiday. It used to be Columbus Day. I believe the name has been changed to
Indigenous people.
the Aboriginal.
Indigenous people.
Yes. Well, I don't remember whether it's Aboriginal, but to acknowledge the natives that were here before people from Europe got here. So its name has been changed slightly. And then in November, the 24th is Thanksgiving Day. There was a class that was going to have to go 1 extra week because of instructor schedules, and that's why the 22nd was lit up. That may happen, but I doubt it. I think we've got that resolved, but that's why that was in yellow. So next slide. As I mentioned, they're $10 per course for the whole course. If you don't know whether you want to take the course, you can come to the first one and pay $3, and if you decide you want to, you can pay the other $7. Or if you decide to pay every time after you've reached $10, you've paid for the whole course. So if you come individually and don't pay for the whole at the beginning, the most we'll ever charge you is $10. So the classes, and these schedules are based on instructor schedules and room availability. We actually have to reserve the rooms to get them 6 weeks in a row for the same location, same time. So these room reservations are made back in the spring, and then we recruit instructors. So I am first on the list primarily because I was the most flexible in when I could do it, but the room reservation we already had. So first one will be Geography Can Be Fun on first thing on Monday mornings. Second on Mondays will be the Puppetry Potpourri, and you will, as I understand it, and you'll see in the catalog when it comes out, you'll make your puppets as well as learn something about puppetry. So that will give you something that you can take home when the course is done. And then next, the History of Sun City Center is Dr. Lochte. Some of you may remember that we had now I can't remember his first name, Brower, that used to give talks about the history of Sun City Center, but he stopped that and kind of retired from that job. And Dr. Lochte has taken that over. So he will be here to talk about the history of Sun City Center. And that should be especially interesting for the people that haven't been here in Sun City or have never heard that history. And I'll just a teaser, one of the things that I learned when I went to that the first time I could. Down where CVS is used to be a small airplane runway, and people would fly down in their small plane from Tampa to have lunch at a restaurant across the road. That was when it was a much smaller place, I guess. Anyway, so what the Bible says with instructor of Carla Friedman. If you're not familiar, Carla Friedman is a local rabbi. I can say she's probably the most popular instructor we've had, at least when I've been involved with grad school. And if you're concerned that her perspective will be that of a rabbi, she is excellent at not putting one religion over another. For example, she did Who Wrote the Bible, the first part of the Bible, and she would talk about this is the Christian understanding and this is a Jewish understanding, and there was no one is better than the other. So it will not be a biased talk by any means. And what the Bible says, as you'll see in the catalog, it goes into some of the, each class will be kind of a different political hot button these days. For example, same-sex marriage, abortion and so forth. She'll just talk objectively about what the Bible says about those. Mysteries of Modern Physics. Last time we had grad school for seniors, we had an astrophysics in-person lecturer. She was not available this year, but it was very popular, so we're going to do two that are lectures from the great courses, if you're familiar with those. This is the first one. And on to Wednesday. Dave Looney will talk about the Bible top 10s, and the top 10s is in the Dave Letterman top 10s, when Dave Letterman used to be on the late night show. So, and bridge. There's multiple instructors doing a bridge, which is why I just put team. I think there are 5 different ones. Each one will be a class. And then the 6th class will be the instructors watching over your shoulder to see how well you do what they taught you to do. Those are my words, not their words. Friday, Joe Birnbaum will be teaching some art class in the studio. That in particular, and I should have mentioned this, the Puppet Potpourri has an attendance limit, as does the art course, because there's a limit for the art course and the number of people that can get into the studio. All About Heaven is Benny Blackshire, and then ending the week will be the other DVD course on astrophysics. Next slide. As I mentioned, the catalog will be delivered on Thursday night, Friday morning. Mail-in registration starts as soon as you get it. And what you do with mail-in registration is you fill out one of the 2 forms in the catalog. If there's 2 of you in the department, there are 2 forms, so 1 for each of you. And you can write a check to cash and either put it in the internal mail or put it in Vince Martucci's mailbox. And if you don't want to do the the mail registration, then we had the 2 in-person registrations on the 13th from 10 to 1, and on Friday the 16th from 4 to 6 p.m., and that's in the atrium. So, with that, I encourage you to look through the catalog. We hope that you will find something that appeals to you. Our objective is to have something that's fun, interesting, and educational. And in the case of the puppet class, it's something that you can take home at the end of the course. In the case of the art class, it's something you can take home at the end of the course. And actually, the geography class will have something that you make and take home at the end of the course. So with that, the final slide is first day of classes is October 3rd. So hope you will sign up and come let us try to meet our objectives. I can take questions if they're brief. If they're about the contents of the courses, I defer to the catalog with the descriptions for each course that will come out Friday.
The length of the courses.
Thank you very much. The class periods will be shown as 90 minutes. Now, the reason for that is because we want to have a 60-minute class. And what will happen often, as you might have experienced, if you're in the auditorium and you're coming to something that starts at 10 o'clock, there might have been somebody that was using the auditorium from 9 to 10. And their thinking is they can be in their seat till 10 o'clock. And the people that were coming in at 10 are thinking we can be in the seat till 10 o'clock. So you lose some dead time. So the way we've solved that is we reserve the class time for 90 minutes for a 60-minute class. So it will not start. You can start coming in at the beginning of that period and be in your seat by the time the instructor wants to start. And we're hoping that way we cannot have conflicts of people getting out and in at the same time and cut into the lecture time. Any other quick questions? Then.
Thank you, Carlos, for that wonderful presentation. Next up, let's give our attention to our resident Dennis Brady, and then he has a couple guests, Michelle and James, to give a presentation on LifePath Hospice.
Good morning. I just want to give you a brief introduction on what we're trying to achieve here. Connie Nixon and I lead a support group, or facilitate a support group for dementia and Alzheimer's. It meets twice a month in the fourth floor conference room. During one of those meetings, it was brought up that we don't have a support group for bereavement. And honestly, at the end of the path on memory care, that's where people end up, and there's no handoff. So I took that on, talked with Angie Rohr about setting something up, and I knew of LifePath, and because I had used them for my wife. So I contacted them and see if they were willing to come and make a presentation not only on hospice, but on the bereavement services that they offer. The objective that I have for this meeting or this group is that if you have an interest in an on-board, meaning on-site here, support group for bereavement at any point, we'd like to know that so we know if we have enough people to bring them on board for that. They provide services separately, but there's an interest in having it here because some people have a little bit of trouble traveling and they'd rather be on site. I have contact paper here that I can give to an individual that gives my name and phone number and so forth, and you contact me and let me know. Following this town hall meeting, we're going to move to the fourth floor conference room outside this door so that if anybody wants to meet with them and ask personal questions, they can. And they showed an interest in meeting the members of the support group, and if any of you are here, if you'd like to go over there and meet them, appreciate it. With that, I'm going to turn it over to, I guess, Michelle, right?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. I'm Michelle with LifePath Hospice. This is James. He's our bereavement specialist. Just a little background, I've been working with LifePath Hospice now for about 6.5 years, but I have been working in this area for 12 or 13 years. I lost track. I live just down the street. So this is a very important community to me, and I'm so glad that I have that opportunity to just talk with you a few minutes about what hospice is. And oh my gosh, she said that word, hospice. No, nobody's dying this weekend, okay? And hospice doesn't mean that death is around the corner at all, not at all. So I hopefully can just instill with you just a little bit of a tagline. We like to think of hospice as the rest of your life, because if it was the end of life, it would be right now, wouldn't it? It would be like I'm taking my last breath right now. But with hospice care, we want to be looked at as a supportive care team there for you with a terminal illness. Typically, it looks like something 6 months or less. However, we have had hospice patients on service with us 4 years and a few extra days. So it is the rest of your life. And we want to be there for you so that you can have quality during that time to spend with your family and loved ones, your neighbors. You all have a great community here that you've been able to interact with each other for probably many, many years. And so we want to be able to give that quality to you. And with that, we have our nursing team, our aides, social workers, chaplains, and our volunteers. And all of them together will work with you and your families to make sure that you're having that quality for the rest of your life. I know everybody's like, well, hospice, isn't it that thing down the road there? Well, that is a hospice house, but that's just not hospice only. All of hospice care is done right here in your home. And anytime that you have symptoms, things like pain, nausea, vomiting, agitation, that's when we might say, instead of going to the hospital, because does anyone want to go to the hospital here? Anyone raise your hand? No, I don't think so. Instead of going there, we take you over to our hospice house, which acts like a little hospital in itself. Doctors are there, nurses, social worker, chaplain, aides, and volunteers. And that way we treat you with your symptoms, and our goal is to get you right back here as soon as possible. So it's very short term, maybe a day or two. Sometimes people need a little bit longer, but the goal is for you to age in place right here at Freedom Plaza. So yes, that's hospice, but hospice again is right here in your home. It's not a place, it's a service. So when you say, oh, I'm gonna have hospice come out to see me, they're gonna come right here into your home. And there's so many things that hospice does beyond the bedside, what we call beyond the bedside. Life Path Hospice, if any of you have been here for quite some time, we started just behind Plaza West. There was our first little hospice house, 8 beds. We will have been here 40 years next year in 2023, 40 years, long time. We are non-for-profit, and now we are the largest non-for-profit in the US, even though we're mostly located right here in Florida. But we treat a lot of people, and you're thinking, oh, it's not my time. I know, it's not your time. But you may know people, friends, neighbors, family, others, you never know. So we always want you to have a little bit of information that might help you if somebody says, you know, so-and-so got diagnosed with cancer, which by the way is our #1 diagnosis. What do you think the second one is? Anybody want to guess? What was it? Heart. What'd you say? Dementia. Dementia is #2. Isn't that crazy? It's crazy, I know. Cancer, dementia, COPD, CHF, and then like end stage liver, end stage, that type, kidney. So lots of, those are the top ones, and that's what we see a lot of. There's others, but those are the top ones. So any questions real quick on the hospice thing? Anything, because I know I only have a limited time. Yes, ma'am.
Do you do it at home? I don't live here and I live somewhere else.
Yeah, so Life Path Hospice covers all of Hillsborough County, and then we also have affiliates outside of Hillsborough County. Yes, our parent name is Chapters Health. Yes, ma'am.
I used to volunteer for hospice. This was like 10 years ago.
We still need volunteers.
We had quite a group. of
Yes,
volunteers.
yes, we definitely need volunteers. If any of you have time out there, we could definitely use you. I want to say one last thing before James goes on about our extraordinary bereavement program. Chapters Health, again, our parent company, is bringing the Traveling Vietnam Memorial Wall to Tampa, October 13th through the 16th. And I'll leave a couple of these over here. The wall will be there for 4 days from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. We are looking for lots of volunteers. If you like to, or you know people who want to, that's a long time during the day for 4 days. And we have a lot of different categories that people can help to volunteer. But we will have presenters. We will have special things going on. We have a parachute guy dropping down out of the sky. We've got all the old antique vehicles, and I mean, there's just so much going on for those several days, and we'd love to have you. If you are coming out by the van loads, we just need to know the day and times that you would be coming out, because we're trying to coordinate for parking and that type of thing with all of our independent livings, assisted living facilities. So, yes, sir.
What expense might a family anticipate?
Very good question. So, Medicare, you think you're paying a Medicare your entire life, right? You just watch that money just, what does it do? Well, guess what? It pays for your hospice care, believe it or not. Isn't it great? You don't have to pay anything to have hospice care. So it's really, really wonderful. People are like, well, wait, I have that Humana Gold thing. No problem, because with that, that's a Medicare Advantage plan. So it just rolls back over to your regular red, white, and blue card for your hospice services. Medicare will cover that. Okay, and if you have other questions about it, but basically that's it. If you have a regular Blue Cross, Blue Shield, I mean, there's a little bit of intricacies there, but basically it's paying for everything: your care, your medications, your equipment, your supplies, all that kind of good stuff. Anybody else?
The dollar value, that's how much, maybe,
I'm sorry, so,
the money, how much?
oh, there's no money.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying with Medicare.
Everything's paid,
Everything's paid
so
for.
we don't have to donate.
Yeah. The only thing that would not be paid for, and I'll give you an example, is if you are diabetic. Your diabetic supplies, because the diabetes is not a terminal illness. However, you do pass from the symptoms of diabetes, like kidney disease and heart disease, correct? Everybody understand that? So we wouldn't be giving you the insulin or the syringes or any of that type of stuff. Okay. All right. I'll be around, so if you have other questions, I'm happy to answer for you.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for sharing that and giving that information. How about that? Is that better? I always struggle with microphones. Well, good to see you this morning. My name is James. I'm a bereavement counselor with Life Path Hospice. I've been doing that for a little while now. I'm actually a trained chaplain, so I understand about end of life, about the changes that happen. And I could have bored you with wonderful slides about what grief is. But instead, I'm looking at all of you who look pretty seasoned to know what it's like to lose someone and how it feels when your world is turned upside down. And really what my role and my goal is not to fix you. I can't take it away. But think of me as the person that's helping you unload your backpack that's full of rocks. Can you imagine taking a journey trying to go to a faraway country with rocks in your backpack? As you're trying to go up mountains, you're trying to go over rivers, and that backpack is being weighed down heavily. That thing that's weighing you down is grief. And sometimes some people say, I'll just suck it up, I'll fight through it, and it'll all go away. But if you know anything about grief, grief does not just go away because you want it to. Grief gets bigger and bigger the longer you put it on the side. And eventually we have to deal with our grief. My job as a grief counselor is to help people unpack the backpack, to look inside and to see what it is. And sometimes it's scary. Sometimes there are bits of things that you thought you got rid of a long time ago. Sometimes it brings a smile to your face because you remember those loved ones and how they made you feel. Sometimes it leaves question marks, it leaves you a little confused. How can I be happy and sad all in the same moment? And so I do grief groups, and our bereavement program deals with groups. We have groups of people who are going through grief. Sometimes they're going through a loss of a spouse, loss of a parent, or even a loss of a child, loss of a friend. Sometimes it's a loss because of change. And all of that can weigh heavily on you, and we are trained to not only work with you, but we're trained to talk with you in a way that helps you feel whole, to provide healing. Because how many of us like to feel hurt all the time? Anybody? Want to feel hurt? No. But we do like those moments where we can actually have a smile to our faces, have a chance where we can kind of feel like our old selves again. And that's what happens when we put grief in its proper place. One of the things I try to do as a grief counselor is also listen, because there's stories that get triggered. If I told you a story, or if I asked you a question, how many of you can think of a loved one when you had to sit down with them with a glass of lemonade or with tea? I'm sure I'd see a few hands go up. How many of you can remember a special event that made you laugh and that brought also at the same time tears to your eyes? How many of you still have special days that you remember your loved ones? We all have them. We all have them, and just because you have them doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means that you're human. It means that you love someone deeply. And to love someone deeply also means that sometimes you hurt deeply as well. And with that hurt comes hope, believe it or not. Because it gives you hope that you will get stronger, you will get better, but then also too, you can help others. And so as Dennis mentioned before, that you all have a bereavement group already, we're just trying to see how we can help you help yourselves. No magic wands, no magic potions, wish there was, but there's nothing as special as people who come together, who love one another, are willing to work together to help one another. I think that's something special. I think that was what makes our community great and makes it so unique, is that we can help each other even in the midst of our hurting. And so I'm just encouraging you to give us a chance here at Life Path Hospice. We've been doing this for many years. We charge nothing for our services. We provide materials. Those materials are free, but more than anything else, the camaraderie, the memories, the courage that you all display will last you a lifetime. All right, so thank you. Thank you for your attention. Are there any questions at this time about our grief and bereavement program, what that means, and how does one get involved, or maybe you know somebody? Yes?
How big are the groups?
That's a good question. How big are the groups is the question. And the groups vary in size. Sometimes we have groups of 10, and sometimes we have groups of 5. I have found that groups that are about 6 and below usually do pretty well, because it gives everybody an opportunity and a chance to talk. It gives them an opportunity to share their stories, but it also gives them an opportunity to do some reflection, to remember not only who they loved, but also to how are they living that love in their lives. So to answer your question, it can be as big as 10 and as small as 5 or 6.
How long is that? All right.
How long? So we do what they call an 8-week group. And that 8-week group is an opportunity to talk about grief for 8 weeks. And we learn about the components of grief, the components also too of resources, coping strategies, understanding not only how to tell your story, but how to tell your story in a way that it's healing to you. And then also too, we try to encourage people to buddy up, to do the buddy system. We leave no man behind, as I like to say, as we try to work through grief. Then we have what they call an ongoing group. And an ongoing group does not have necessarily a time limit as much as it has a purpose of helping people learn how to be social again, teaching them how to work with one another and how to work through their grief so that they can go into society. So to answer your question, we do a basic 8-week group program, and then also too, we have an ongoing group that can sometimes be anywhere for another 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the person. Any other questions? Hope I didn't confuse you. And I know someone says, how can a grief counselor be smiling all the time? Because I have learned through grief that there's a lot of wisdom. There's a lot of wisdom that we gain from our losses. There's a lot of strength that we gain from our losses, but also too, there's a lot of compassion that we gain in our loss. Can you imagine that if everybody just looked at another person realizing that they're going through a hard time, how better the world would be? People would be just a little bit nicer, don't you think? And a little bit more understanding and just a little bit having a listening ear. Because we're all going through something difficult. We're all going through a hard time. And sometimes we just need just a little bit more patience from the next person. All right. Well, I will be here after your town hall meeting. As Dennis said, if you have more questions, or if you're interested in, once again, maybe having a bereavement group here, I would love to sit down and talk with you and see what we can do to help you on this journey, okay? And help you unload those rocks in your backpack. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Dennis Brady, thank you very much for arranging Michelle and James both to come and speak on those items. Definitely encouraging to know that they're here to support during some very trying times. And again, just a reminder, they'll be here for a few hours following the town hall to answer any questions that you all may have.
A few hours.
Oh, a few minutes, sorry.
We'll be here till 5.
Yeah. Just a couple updates we'll do for our community and from a couple department heads. Susie will come up now and give us an update on some activities.
Good morning. Thank you for that presentation. I'll piggyback on what Cindy said. That was really wonderful, and you encouraged us all today, didn't they? That was great. So, I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in September. As you know, that we celebrate, and I say celebrate because we do want to recognize that about Alzheimer's awareness, and we celebrate that by fundraising, and this is our fundraising month. And so, and as you all know, Alzheimer's affects so many. It affects people that we love, people that we care about, our friends, our family, and so anything that we can do to raise awareness, which is through fundraising. We're all in, right? We're all about that. That's our big fundraiser here at Freedom Plaza, correct? Okay, so we want to do that this month. I want to tell you about a few things. But before I do that, I really just want to mention to you that we are short-staffed in my department right now due to Andre's resignation. We wish her well, and so I only have one other part-time person, so that means this one here is going to be fulfilling most of the other the assistant position as well as the director position. So what we've done is we've come up with some hours week by week that the office will be open. So those will be posted on the door, and I'd appreciate it if I'm not in or Kayla's not in, because we still have to do our admin jobs or our job, business office job, but we have to come to meetings like this, go to the activities committee meeting for the residents tomorrow, the resident activity committee meeting tomorrow. We have bus trips that we still have to get off, and we still work events. So that means that we're not going to be in the office as usual 9 to 5. So we ask that you understand that. If we're not in and you really need to speak to us, leave a voice message. We do ask that I know a lot of you use Touchdown to make your reservations. I know that a lot of you use the phone line reservation, but some of you still come into the office and you make a reservation. And normally we would say that's okay, but we don't want you to get discouraged if we're not in the office. So we do ask you to use Touchdown, or we encourage you to use the phone line so that you can make sure you get your reservation in on time, okay? All right, thank you. I appreciate you staying on that until we can fulfill that position. So let's talk about the 3 events that we have coming up for Alzheimer's awareness this month. The Purple Party is next week. How many of you are familiar with the Purple Party? Our annual Purple Party. Yeah, we dress in purple. We, all of the departments donate gift baskets or gift of services. Sometimes the residents donate really some awesome goodies, and you can buy tickets, and then we have a party. So that's Thursday, September 15th from 4 to 5:30. So we encourage you to come to that. If you don't want to participate in that, or you do, you want some other things, there's also bingo and beer. Rock is sponsoring that. I understand we did it last month, right? They did it last month or 2 months ago. It was a real big success, so you asked to do it again. So the Rock office is going to do that again as well. And that is Wednesday, September the 21st. And then the final event for September is Rock is also doing an Alzheimer's concert. It's a gentleman that I understand, it's a soloist. He's really talented. He's written songs for a bunch of country artists from the 70s and 80s and 90s. So I understand he's really talented. He plays 9 instruments and he's going to play a lot of them. I know, so that ought to be really, really interesting. So there's something, and of course we've got all of our other events through the month, but those are things that we just wanted to encourage you to participate in. And of course they'll be on the Plaza Planner, so you can read more about those events. Appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Susie. Next up, we'll hear from Teresa as she gives us a few dining updates.
Thank you, Stevie.
All you, Teresa.
Thank you. Good morning. Still morning. Yes. A couple things going on in dining this week. Well, we started off with Labor Day. I think everyone enjoyed dinner yesterday. I had a lot of positive comments, and we had some really neat ice cream novelties out in front. We tried something a little different because we know that y'all liked ice cream, so we got some positive comments from that as well. On Wednesday of this week, I made my sauce, so I had a lot of requests for that. I spent a majority of the day yesterday rolling 1,000 meatballs, because that's what we need just for one dinner. So they are fresh made, they don't come in with a lot of cutting and work, but, and then on Thursday, we're gonna have an Asian night. So that'll be nice. We have a few residents that really love Asian cuisine. We're trying to add some fun nights onto the menu. In the American Grill, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have oatmeal available with a variety of toppings. So we would really like for those of you who like oatmeal to go in and participate and get some oatmeal. Because while we try things and we test things, we want to bring everything to the table that we get requests for, but we want to make sure that it's something that will sell in the grill. We are working on our holiday menus for the remainder of the year. Starting towards the end of this month, everything gets a little crazy for dining. We're really anticipating a great holiday season. We have a lot of parties already being booked. Resident parties is what I'm talking about. And also looking to bring exciting menus to you. We have menu chats on Wednesday. We are looking for more residents to join us so we can get your feedback on the menus. And we are just trying to plug along in the kitchen. We are short a few individuals. We do have quite a few of our team members who have been here for a while. They are working 6 days. Chris and I have been switching on and off on the weekends, so we're in the kitchen to support them. You don't really see us on the floor because where we need to be is in the kitchen, because that's where our shortness is with cooks. We do have 2 cooks coming on. Hopefully they'll get through the onboarding process soon, which will give us really good help in the kitchen, which is what we need coming up on this holiday season as it approaches. One last thing, we have an enchanted evening at the end of the month. I did put the menu up on Touchdown. It is $95 per resident. For this one, we have we are partnering with Freedom Square, which is where Joey Minjone went, our former DFS. And they're bringing half of their residents up, and we're going to partner to do this event. We're really excited. The executive chefs will be preparing an amazing 6-course plated meal for you, plus there are past hors d'oeuvres and a full dessert room afterwards. If you haven't attended one, it's a lot of fun. We do have entertainment. We are bringing in the same entertainment as last time. Johnny, who is the executive chef at Regency, he is really an amazing entertainer, so he is going to be coming as well. And we have a few other surprises in store for you. I only have about 6 spots left for the Enchanted Evening. So if you are interested, please call me or email me. If you did sign up, double check on Touchtown Outside of Dining that your name is on the sign up, just to make sure that we've confirmed everything. And we look forward to seeing you there. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes, Ms. Grant.
Is the sous chef still here, Luke?
No, we broke him. And this is what I have been telling a lot of residents. So Luke came to us from Casual Dining, and he came to us with a great deal of experience. He had a great resume. He did some really great things for Casual Dining, but it's the same menu every single day. So if you come from that, which is, I know what that's like, because that's what I did when I came here, and it was really, it took me years to get used to the fact that like every single day you have a changing menu. So it was really hard for Luke to go from a situation where everything was the same and everything was in the same place and we always have the same menu, to coming in and having a completely different menu every single day. And even 6 weeks on the rotation, we do not keep the same menus. We keep a shell and then we change things based on our menu chat, because we are very involved with all of you and your recipes that you send in, your suggestions. We're constantly changing and evolving. So it was just a bit much. So we do wish him well. We do have a candidate for a sous chef position. I don't want to announce anything yet. We are in the final process now, and as soon as we do that, we will announce that. Anything else? All right, have a great day. I'll see you in the dining room.
All right, thank you, Teresa, very much, and Susie for all that information. One final announcement. We know we've been out of a director of financial services for about a few weeks now. Angie's been filling in the meantime, but we have selected a candidate. Angie's vetted him very well. Dennis Kimball is his name. Monday, September 26th will be his first day. So that position is filled as of this moment. And as of this moment, all our directors are full on staff. With that, that'll conclude our town hall. We thank all our visiting guest speakers and everyone else that was in attendance. Thank you and have a wonderful day.